Hi everyone, and welcome to Lesson 5. So in this lesson I'm going to cover a very important topic. I touched on it in the last lesson. That's passing arguments to functions, and also nesting functions. This is quite an important topic. If you once you get this, it'll add a new layer of versatility to your programming ability, and you'll know what I mean by the end of this lesson. So anyways, what I want to do here, well, I'll show you my my dilemma. So we have a routine that inserts block 1 for us. It puts it on the layer that we want the block to appear. It creates the layer for us if the layer doesn't already exist. But let's say we want to make a routine for block 2. So all I'll do is I'll just copy it to my clipboard, paste it at the bottom. So I can just make a routine here. I can name it block 2. I can go down here, change this to block 2. Change this here to block 2. And then if I wanted it on a different layer, I just have to make sure I change all my layer names. And in the past, this is what I did when my programming ability was very basic. But it is a little bit arduous. It takes a bit of time to do that, and I know myself, I always miss something. So I'm going to show you how to make a nested function that makes it way, way, way easier to do all that stuff, and even do additional tasks as well for you. So you'll be able to literally copy your routine and change all your parameters within seconds to add, basically make a new routine. So I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to make those changes, and then you'll see exactly what I mean. Okay, I'm back. So instead of pausing the video, you noticed I just sped up the video of me actually coding. I made a few small tweaks, actually one small tweak. I had this in lowercase, so I just changed that. Other than that, this is just what you saw me coding. So now we have our function right here, and now this became a nested function that we call right at this location. So the advantage to this is now if we want to add another routine, all we have to do is copy this, paste it, and now we can just change all our parameters right here. So if I didn't goof up, I'll just load that and see if it works. And just to make things easier on the eyes here, what I'm going to do is just make a delineator between each. So you can see that with what we've just done, now you can create sort of your own library of block insert routines where you can quickly add a new routine. All you have to do is just rename a few things. I forget, our third layer there was layer green, is that correct? Yeah. So it only takes literally a few seconds to add a new block insert routine. So that's kind of the power of having this nested routine. Otherwise, I'd have to copy all of this, then I'd have to pick through it and make sure I change everything, including the layer name and such. So I'm going to make one more copy. Can't remember if magenta is 6. We'll find out in a second, I guess. So we'll see if this routine works. So anyways, I think you get the point. I just made a really quick and easy way to make new routines. Okay, so I'm going to go through this now and show you what I changed. The first obvious change is I changed the name of the function, and I got rid of the C and colon. So that just means it makes it a routine that we can run from within another routine, or in other words, a nested routine or a nested function. Now you can still run a function, a command line function within Lisp. There's no problem doing that, but this is just more efficient for a few ways I won't get into. Okay, so right here looks like a bit of a mess, so I'm actually going to put this all in the same line just so you can get a more clear picture of what I did here. Bear with me just for a second. There we go. So you remember that I taught these in a previous lesson. Just putting variables here, or symbols here, declares them as local variables, meaning they get cleared every time the function ceases or completes. Whereas these are arguments. So now when I have this function embedded here, I need to pass 3 arguments to it. So I'll show you what this would look like if I didn't have it separated on lines. So if you have those arguments, you need to pass arguments to the function. You can make provisions that would allow the arguments to be nil. For example, what I might do later in this series is I might make the argument for layer. I might make an option just for that argument to be nil, and it just won't change the layer. It'll keep the layer to whatever the user's layer is. So this is what it would look like. The only reason I added all those lines is just for convenience, because once you have this in here, you're gonna want to keep notes and know which line or which argument does what. So this is a convenient way to format that. But as far as understanding the code, this will make sense to most people. Okay, so I'm gonna undo back out of all of that. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll down. So as you can see here, our table search, I replaced the name of the block in our original routine with just the variable block name, which is, of course, the argument up here. And if you're wondering what happens to this argument, if you don't understand that quite yet, what happens when I run this routine? Let's go to this one. So I run this routine. What it does is it puts this value, this string, which is the name of the block, and it passes it to the first argument to this. So block name will have this value stored in it. So wherever you see that block name variable, it's going to say block. It's going to tell the program block 3. Similar principle with this layer name variable. You can see, since now that I've done this, I don't have to change the layer name in 4 different places. If you run into a situation where you have to do that, I just use this replace tool, and that's what I did when I was typing out this code to speed myself up and to make sure I didn't miss anything. Again, block name appears. We have to make sure we change block name everywhere, and of course you can just use this to find them all, or replace it. You can use this to search for them, and this to replace them. Okay, so that's about all the changes I want to make to the code for now. I do want to make some key improvements. Mainly, I want to make the layer creation more versatile in the way of being able to specify the line type, maybe the layer transparency, and some other parameters. I also want to give the user an option to not change the layer at all when inserting the block, meaning it would just insert the block to that whatever the active layer is. So anyways, stay tuned for those changes, and thanks very much for watching up to this point.